During the London Blitz, the night sky was lethal. Hundreds of bombers routinely blacked out the stars, turning residential neighborhoods into target coordinates for high explosives. The sheer volume of destruction forced thousands out of their homes. Families found themselves staring at the rubble of their lives, suddenly dependent on the goodwill of neighbors. Amid this chaos, a young mother, my grandmother, and her infant son were bombed out of their house. They had nothing left but what they could carry, navigating a city where fragile newborns slept next to heavy metal gas masks. When the walls of your own home can be erased in a single night, survival often comes down to finding a friend with a spare room and the luck of being somewhere else when the next bomb falls. Fortunately, a well-meaning friend offered them refuge. She took them into her own townhouse and quickly set up a makeshift nursery space so they could finally rest. She placed them in a room on the very top floor. It was a logical choice. It was isolated, quiet, and insulated from the anxious commotion of the streets below. But look at this diagram of a typical 1940s townhouse, and you'll see the problem. In an air raid, a falling bomb carries immense kinetic energy. In a direct strike, the roof and the top floor absorb the majority of that initial devastating impact. By trying to give the exhausted mother and baby a peaceful place to sleep, the friend had unknowingly placed them at the point of maximum geographical danger. That night, carrying the baby, my grandmother began the heavy, physical climb up the narrow stairs toward the nursery. But halfway up, the atmosphere in the stairwell shifted. The air grew heavy, and the shadows twisted against the ambient light from below. Right above her, a shadowy figure materialized out of the gloom, physically blocking her path to the top floor. The apparition didn't move to attack her. Instead, it delivered a precise, impossible warning: do not sleep in that room tonight. Standing on those steps, she was forced to choose between the physical safety of a room and a warning she couldn't explain. She had to decide right then which one to trust. Primal terror won. She turned right around, clutching her baby, and fled back down the wooden steps to the ground floor. She found her friend and declared that the plan was canceled. She and the baby were going to sleep on the floor in the downstairs sitting room instead. Her friend was profoundly annoyed. From a practical standpoint, the grandmother was rejecting a warm, quiet bed for a cramped, drafty living room based on a hallucination. The external threat of the bombers was momentarily replaced by an intense argument between a woman who trusted her eyes and another who couldn't ignore her instincts. They settled into an uneasy sleep in the sitting room, surrounded by the tense, heavy silence that always precedes a raid. Then the street erupted. A bomb detonated immediately adjacent to the house, shaking the foundation and filling the air with concussive force and thick smoke. The shockwave hit the building's exterior, violently compromising the structural integrity of the upper floors in an instant. With a deafening crack, the entire roof caved in. Thousands of pounds of timber, brick, and slate plunged directly into the top floor nursery, crushing the baby's empty cot. The physics were brutal. The sheer weight of the debris guaranteed that any living thing left inside that cot would have been killed. Morning broke over a neighborhood choked with dust. As the skeptical friend looked up at the gaping hole where her roof used to be, the reality of the night settled in. Upstairs, the peaceful nursery was completely destroyed. Downstairs, amidst the plaster and broken glass, the infant was unharmed. My grandmother maintained for the rest of her life that the apparition was a direct, life-saving presence, rather than a product of exhaustion. Because when falling bombs make a mockery of brick walls and logical safety, surviving to see the morning can sometimes depend entirely on trusting the impossible warnings waiting in the dark.